So welcome everyone to the third webinar in the Sussex Disability Sport Network series, which, as most of you know, is because unfortunately we couldn't hold the conference that we were going to hold in April. The first two webinars were really well received, and this is the third one in terms of the topics that we were actually going to discuss at the conference. So today we're going to have some examples from 3+ partners. So yeah, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 organisations, but 3 examples talking about how they've created inclusive clubs, why that's important, and what next, and some of the things that they've been doing during lockdown. Now, obviously, there are lots of clubs and organisations out there that are doing fantastic work, but hopefully these 3 examples are within the county. So we've got one from West, one from East, and one from Brighton and Hove, and also have done things slightly differently and have kind of different focuses. So hopefully it just gives you a good overview of some of the work that they've been doing. So in terms of the agenda, obviously I've just done my introduction, and in terms of kind of best practice throughout the session, as I said, if you can keep your microphones off and then raise a question in the chat box, that'd be great. First of all, we'll have the Outreach 3-Way and Falcon Softball Club presentation, then Brighton and Hove Table Club with Grace Eyre, followed by Defiant Sport. And then Nicola from Activity Alliance, who I haven't seen joined yet, so hopefully she's with us. We'll give a little bit of an update on their Inclusion Hub toolkit, which is a really fantastic toolkit that clubs and organisations can use. And then, like I said, hopefully we'll just follow it up and finish it off with an open discussion about recommencement plans and any other questions you've got. There is the opportunity for me to move people into one-to-one rooms if anyone wants to have an individual conversation. So you can let me know via the chat window or at the end of the webinar if you want to do that. But we've only got probably about 20 minutes after the end of all the presentations kind of to do that. So yeah, without further ado, I am going to pass over to Bob, who will hopefully be able to share his screen.
Have you got your have you got the presentation available your end at all?
I have, yes. Would you like me to?
Yeah, would you mind? It's just I think it's going to be easier that way.
Of course, yeah, not a problem.
Thank you. I'm just being lazy, really, if I'm honest.
That's all right. Can you see it?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, that's all right. I think it's because I need to share my screen again.
Okay.
This one, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so yeah, just tell me when you want me to move on.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Gemma. Hello, everybody. As Gemma said, I'm Bob Leaves. I manage the Out There project. If you don't know about us, I'm going to give you a quick overview. So excuse some of these slides as they're our generic ones for our bigger company dimensions. So yeah, if you could move to the next one, please, Gemma. So who are Out There? So Out There, West Sussex, that's obviously us, is a community-based preventative health and social care service, and we're part of Outreach 3-Way, who are a hopefully well-respected organisation, charity that runs disability services across West Sussex. We are funded by the County Council to provide sports and leisure services for people aged.
Sorry.
So it's all right. People aged, just trying to put me off, aren't you? For people aged 16+ who have a learning disability or autism. Our primary role is to support people to improve their physical and mental health through regular exercise and social interaction. And like with anything else, the focus is to reduce the impact on the NHS and associated services by keeping people healthy, hopefully. Okay, Gemma, if you could go to the next one, please. What do we provide? Well, that's over for debate at the moment in the world we're living in. Normally, what is normal? We would provide a weekly program that includes weekday, evening and weekend services across West Sussex. We operate in Crawley, Horsham and Burgess Hill, Worthing, Bognor Regis and Chichester. Sorry, I'm just having to move this across a bit. Our sessions take place in leisure centres and similar facilities, in most cases alongside members of the public. We're trying to break down the barriers and not be segregated away like very often happened in the past. We offer gym and swim sessions and many various sports and leisure activities, and have a strong presence in the Sussex County FA Disability League. We support around 250 people a week, and we've negotiated reduced access fees for the people that we support to access leisure centres and take part in activities. Big part of what we do is try to encourage people to get their own memberships as well, and if appropriate, become as independent as they possibly can. Okay, Jem, if you could move on, please. So, as most of us in this field, what are the barriers and challenges? Well, obviously, funding is an ever-facing challenge. Even more so at the moment with staff being furloughed, the government scheme hopefully picking stuff up so people can stay employed. Fortunately, we've only had a few staff furloughed, but obviously, we're not at the end of this yet, so keeping an open mind about that. How services commissioned is changing very rapidly at the moment. We're seeing cutbacks in funding for people and expectations around more community engagement, which is good, but the funding is being slashed quite dramatically at the moment. In line with that, local authority expectations, more for less, as we know, is becoming a norm. The lack of actual opportunities for people with disabilities in the bigger community. It's great to have disability specific services, but it would be great to get more mainstream clubs on board, and that's a big part of what we're trying to do. Lack of disability awareness training for organisations and people that might want to get on board but are a little bit fearful of what it's about. And uncertainty about where to go for information. We know that's been a problem for many years, and there still isn't a really coherent, message of, where to go for this information as to what's on offer. Okay, Jem, if you could move for me, please. So, mainstream sports clubs. We've been trying to work to get more mainstream sports and leisure clubs on board to work with us so they can become more disability aware and accessible. And I've got to say, with the leisure centre, that's been quite successful. As for actual mainstream standalone clubs, it's been more of a challenge. The response to our offer has been very limited, but we continue to try and bridge this huge gap so that people with disabilities can enjoy the same experiences that many of us take for granted and really enjoy. I think we do take a lot for granted and for what we can do and what we can access, but that's not the same for many of the people we support, and we'd really like to change that. So, Jem, if you could move on to the next one, please. We have had a success story, and it's taken a while to get there, but it's a real good outcome. So we've been working with the Chichester Falcons softball team for around about 2 years now, and I'm sure it'd be good to get the perspective of Dave Morris, who's the manager of the team. So, Dave, if you're on the line, could you interject here, please?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I'm just going to turn my camera on as well then.
Yeah, mate.
How's my hair? I think I'm okay.
Yeah, you're looking good.
So, I thought it'd be useful to tell everybody what this was like from our standpoint, really. So maybe if there's someone else in the meeting now who's involved with a club and thinking about getting into this kind of thing, so I can tell you all about it from the start right till today. So it began really, our regional development manager for softball in the UK suggested I go to this conference in Brighton. This was 3 years ago, I think, and I think it was like the kind of real version of this meeting, really, wasn't it? It was an actual face-to-face conference, not on webcam. So I went down there, didn't really know what to expect. We just, as a club, we just thought perhaps this is something we should get into generally. We didn't know how or who to talk to about it. So along I went. And it was really good, actually. I met lots of people. I met Gemma and loads of people who were already doing this kind of thing. There was I'm hopeless with names, but there was a really interesting talk by a guy who does table tennis with people with disabilities. That really, I remember that talk very well. So I came away thinking, yeah, we want to do this. We want to do something. So I emailed Gemma in the morning, and she put me in touch with Bob, actually, because it made sense locally, I think, geographically rather. So spoke to Bob, and he explained what they do. So they get together in Chichester once a week, Thursday nights, for an hour, and they do some kind of sport or game with the group of so they're adults with learning disabilities generally, and autism, some of them. So we thought, okay, let's see how we can fit into that. So Bob invited me to just come and sit in on an hour, one of the weekly sessions, actually, in the local leisure centre. So I just went along and stood with him and watched, and it was great. I was really surprised. No idea what to expect at all. And they played this game called bench ball, which I'd never seen before. It looked like a lot of fun. Desperately wanted to join in, but didn't feel like I perhaps should. Just was there as an observer, just to get a feel of what it's like. So came away again thinking, right, I've made another step. I think this is really definitely something we could do with softball. So Bob suggested that we start and make once a month. I think it was once a month we started doing softball for an hour. So I think perhaps at this point I should explain what softball is, in case not everyone's familiar, because it is a niche sport. So softball is a lot like baseball and a lot like rounders. Perhaps rounders is more familiar to us in England, right? So straight away there's a kind of element of danger. So it is a dangerous sport by its definition. The ball is not soft at all. It's harder than a cricket ball, and it's bigger than a cricket ball. And there's a bat, and there's hitting it at, at and near people. We have gloves we wear to catch the ball and to field with. So straight away we had to think, well, how can we adapt this so it's a lot safer? And indoors as well. So this was always indoors in a leisure centre. So as it happens, we already play softball indoors during the winter, and it translates very well, just as football and cricket are played indoors. The game's slightly different, but a lot of the elements are exactly the same. So what we did was we decided to just get a bag of these safety balls. So they're a lot lighter. They're not so light that they kind of float around like the plastic football type thing, but if you do happen to get hit by one, it doesn't hurt at all. But they're the same size as a softball, and you can throw them hard if you need to, or you catch them in the glove and they don't bounce out. That's really actually the only other equipment we had to buy especially for this, so not too bad at all. So we turned up. I rounded up some volunteers from the club who wanted to get involved. This was all done under Bob's supervision, of course, and I think there was another guy called Richard, wasn't there, Bob?
That's
who
right,
came
Richard,
and joined in as well. So we wrote a little plan for an hour, a warm up and a couple of drills, and then a game of softball at the end. It went really well. We were really pleased. No mishaps, which was our main worry, was there's going to be some kind of mishap, as there often is when you're working with beginners in any sport. But it went really well. They really enjoyed it. They seemed to got very excited. The whole thing, different equipment. They'd never put on a softball glove before, never held a bat like that before. So they got really into it, and we felt it went really well. And Bob said, okay, let's do another one next month, and we carried on going like that. So they became, as players, became more and more confident. They turn up every time, and they're asking questions about the rules, and and us as volunteers, we got more and more confident. Especially for myself, going in cold at the first time, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? And actually, everybody's friends now, and it's really good. And Bob even spent an evening with us as the volunteers from our club, teaching about this kind of thing. So the less confident volunteers, could get an understanding of what to do in certain situations, and how to work with people. So it just built up and became more and more successful, really, as we went along. And they got pretty good, and they are pretty good. Some of them are very good, which really helps, and it's lovely to see them develop. So then we thought we let them choose a name for their team, so they became the Tigers. Got some t-shirts made, so they've all got a nice bright orange t-shirt with a Tigers logo across the chest, and they love all that, you know. And that's been going on now for, I think, perhaps 2 years, hasn't it, Bob?
It has, yeah. I know you're running your own independent sessions now, like you know, completely independent of our support, which is a huge step forwards. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big step for us as well. So yeah, that's quite recent, isn't it? A change.
Yep.
So we've talked about doing that for some time, and we've kind of got nearer and nearer to it, and then we finally took the plunge. So we now go there, and Bob's not there, and Richard's not there, and we're kind of on our own. But Bob is definitely on the other end of the phone. We haven't had to bother him with anything yet, no problems at all. But he's definitely there in case we need to ask a question, you know.
Fantastic.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Dave. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, from our perspective, it's been a good outcome. Am I right in saying that 1 or 2 of the guys possibly could play in the, you know, your mainstream league, Dave?
Yeah, we've got one guy actually stood out in the group as being particularly able. We're very confident. He's obviously played cricket or something before. Very good player, and we play in, as I mentioned earlier, we play already indoors in the winter anyway. So I think it would have been September, October last year. I just took him aside after one of our monthly sessions and said, you know, do you fancy coming to train with the Falcons? So he was. He's quite a kind of anxious guy, very cautious, you know.
Sorry,
so he wanted to think
1 minute less, guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's time tight.
I'll cut it very short then. He fitted in extremely well, slightly apprehensive at first, but he's now training with us. There he is, front and centre in the picture, actually.
Right.
Doing really well. And we would have been playing outside with him last night, you know, if we were playing outside, but not because of lockdown. So that was, you know, he played with us right up till February when we stopped indoors.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that, Dave.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that, mate. Yeah, so picture to paints 1,000 words. There they are, branded in their shirts, proud as punch. So yeah, as I said, I think that tells a lot. So very neat, you know, obviously need to wind this up. Can I have the next one up, please, then, Jem?
Sure.
So where do we go from here? So we're working with the BAR Boxing Club out of Worthing to hopefully, you know, assist them to become disability aware and friendly, and they're very keen to do that. Strong presence in the county FA, and that's working well. In partnership with Crawley Town Football Club, rebranded and playing for them under the Flyers banner, Crawley Flyers. Volunteering opportunities, just uni program that we're working on to get them engaged in more sports with us. So next steps, I'll be keen, you know, to work with interested mainstream sports clubs across the board. We can offer the support. We can provide an adaptable program, and our services, you know, our support comes free of charge, but I'm hoping there's going to be an incentive. So that's in a nutshell, really. The last slide is just saying thank you to everybody, and if you're interested or know anybody that may want to learn more, my contact details are there. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Bob. So I've just been informed that possibly the chat isn't working for everyone. So if anyone's got any questions, then please unmute yourself and ask them verbally. Andy's got his hand up. So Andy?
Yeah, I've got 3 very quick questions to Bob. That's really interesting, Bob, and really positive to hear around the inclusion and support for clubs. My first question is, what's the reason why the clubs are saying that they can't do this?
To be quite honest with you, Andy, we don't really get a lot of feedback on it. We've attended quite a few seminar type sort of setups where local leisure centres have got mainstream clubs in to talk about provision and what's on offer. We do sometimes have conversations around, you know, what we can offer and what we can do, but very, very rarely get a follow up from the clubs on taking it to the next step. So I don't know. I get a feeling that perhaps there's a little bit of trepidation there about being involved with it and what comes, you know, with it. You know, the sort of fear side in a way, for want of a better word. and how do we, if we get this wrong, what are the implications of it?
That's really sad to hear, given the fact that I've been involved in disability sport for 21 years, and it's the same excuses. I just wonder whether some it's in need of to involve obviously Activity Alliance, which I know Nicola's there, or actually to go back to the NGB, or I'd be very tempted to go back to Sport England and say,
well, we have tried that. We've had these conversations with Sport England and the Federation for Disability Sport over the years, but unfortunately, and please don't think this is a blame game. It's not. It hasn't sort of transpired into any sort of further support in that direction. So we're doing the best we can with limited resources, but we know it's a huge project that needs bigger more resources put into it.
Limpower as an organisation would be happy to support in any way and lobby, because I think it's a pretty poor excuse from a sport to say they're frightened or they're unsure. There's enough information out there. It's about attitude and that. Moving on, the other two questions is, have you got an impairment breakdown of the people that you work with? Obviously, a lot of the amputees that we engage with, and most of the amputees in that area in your county will go to Brighton Limb Centre or Roehampton. So we could help by promoting your opportunities there. We'd be willing to do that, but it'd be interesting, an impairment group breakdown. And also, the final question would be, are you offering your coaching and volunteer opportunities to actually disabled people? Because we very much believe in an integrated workforce and an inclusive workforce, and we find that having people with an impairment that are volunteers or coaches really inspires other people to be involved. And again, we could help you with that.
Yeah, well, we've got 30 volunteers on our books at the moment, and a third of them have got disabilities. And last year we've supported 2 of our volunteers that have got learning disabilities to take their and pass, I've got to say, their level 1 FA coaching courses that's been adapted. So something we're very focused on, Andy, but I appreciate that assistance that you may be able to help us with.
Yeah. Well, if Gemma gives you my contact details, please feel free to drop me an email, and we'll see how we can help.
No, that's great. I'll do that. Thank you.
And the second question, Andy, is maybe something that I can follow up with kind of at the end and as across the piece of the network, something we can look at to kind of better understand kind of impairment breakdown figures, because obviously different organisations work with individuals with their specialist needs. So there are obviously sports clubs that are working specifically with amputees or wheelchair users, for instance. So we can have maybe a conversation about that more specifically.
That's great. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, David. That was really interesting. And just to say to everyone, we will be sharing the presentations and contact details of everyone at the end. So if you do obviously want to contact Bob directly, then I will be sending that out as well. So next up is Tim and Liz.
Hi, Gemma.
Hello. I think you already got a name check from Dave, because I think he was talking about when you presented at the one of the first disability sport networks, Tim.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And Liz, are you there, Liz?
I am. Hi. Yep.
So, Liz, do you want to just introduce you start, and then I'll do my bit. Is that all right?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz. Work at the Grace Air Foundation. For those of you who don't know about Grace Air, it's a charity that's been going for over 100 years now, supporting adults with learning disabilities. We have a wide range of services that offers, housing, supported living, employment, day services. And probably the most relevant for today is that in 2013, we received some Sport England funding, where we established our Sports for All project. And that's where we made our partnership link with Tim at the Table Tennis Club, which he'll talk to you more about. The Sports for All project was and still is a county-wide programme, providing a number of sporting opportunities. Obviously, a lot of those have had to stop in current times, but we have been able to set up, we're at 24 weekly online sessions at the moment, you know, a range of activities, including chair yoga, dancing, gardening, indoor games, relaxation, and that sort of thing. And we're hoping to return to some perhaps more normal activity from September onwards. But I'll hand over to Tim to talk to you more about the project.
Thanks, Liz. Yeah, no, thanks, Gemma, for inviting us to do this. And I'm just going to share my screen. I want to show you a very 30-second video, if I can. Can you see my screen? Liz?
Yes, yeah, it's Liz. So if you go to,
Right.
your link.
Yeah. So right, there's a 30-second video, and then I'll just talk you quickly through a couple of other things. So this is like a summary of the club. It's quite a new video.
Yeah.
The Brighton Table Tennis Club was started just over 12 years ago, and we had 2 broken tables in the Brighton Youth Centre, and we've now got over 100 tables across the city, 1,500 people playing table tennis across 70 sessions a week. So we've been there 90s, travellers, looked after children, refugees, everyone you can imagine, everyone in Brighton that you can think of benefit from playing table tennis. They're involved in the club and they're all making a positive contribution. So I'll show you this quickly. This is our timeline from the beginning. This is in our annual report, which is on our website. But so we started off for sort of teenagers, you know, local teenagers in the Brighton Youth Centre that wouldn't otherwise have access to free coaching or, you know, the opportunities. And then over the years, we sort of started working with schools and the virtual school for children in care. All the outdoor tables have been brilliant, really put table tennis on the map. And then in December 2013, as Liz said, we started a Friday session for Grace Air. So Grace Air funded that for 3 years, just an hour and a half, 2 coaches. And this picture here is the very first ever Grace Air session. And then all those people who still come, all still involved. And it's just a sort of another string to the club's bow, if you like. So it's, you know, looked at as a bit of a model for community integration, social cohesion. So you've got, you know, 3 coaches with Down syndrome. The first 3 coaches in the world with Down syndrome are all at the club. And yeah, they're just a real sort of big part of the family. I'm just trying to find the document I wanted to just use as a guide. It should be here. Here it is. Sorry, I thought this was ready. Right, so I'll make that full screen. I don't know why the pictures come on. Right, can you see that?
Yeah. Okay,
so this was done as a case study about our T21. So T21 is Down syndrome, trisomy 21. And it was about the referral network for our T21 Down syndrome sessions. In December 2013, we talked about that. We started doing these sports for all sessions with Grace Air. All 8 players that came to the very first session were still involved, including Harry Fairchild, who's here. Yeah, and I mean, you know, Harry's unbelievable. He's world's first coach with Down syndrome, and he's national champion, and he's an amazing guy. So yeah, the sessions were first funded by Grace Air, but were open to anyone across the city with learning disabilities. The referral network across the city meant Chris O'Flynn heard about the club, started attending sessions for the Outlook Foundation. I mean, I can share this with you later. I don't just want to read it out to you, but this was because of the work with learning with adults with learning disabilities. We linked with a club in Sweden, really amazing club, disability sports club in Sweden called Fifth in Malmo, and pre-Brexit, they were successful with some European Union funding, and we took 20 people to Sweden 3 times and to Berlin twice, and they all came over here. And yeah, it's sort of opened up a lot of doors, and it's been an interesting journey. So Harry, Chris and Andrew they're at the club every day coaching. You know, they live there before lockdown. Andrew Tompkins said, "It makes me happy. It makes me friends. I love being a coach and a player. I love travelling with the club. I can respect other people. Club is amazing. Believe that, my friends." So yeah, there's a half-an-hour film that was shown in the Duke of York's a couple of summers ago, and called "Believe That," half-an-hour documentary. That's a good film. If you haven't seen it, then it's worth watching. All about them getting ready for European Championships that they've been to. So yeah, we've been to European Championships and World Championships in Italy and Portugal, and met a whole community of the Sports Union of Down Syndrome World Championships from multi-sports. You know, it's like being in the Olympic Village with 700 athletes with Down syndrome. Everyone was there having food together in the canteen, and it was amazing. So the last thing I want to show is this has just happened this week. We just finished the first pilot of this building grassroots community course. It's been developed by Brighton Table Tennis Club. It's about designing and collaboratively building a new model of community in action. Known widely for its innovative social outreach using table tennis, BTTC has based the course on its own experience, but with the aim of sharing participant ideas and aspirations towards building resilient communities. The course uses a modular framework with hourly sessions currently delivered online because of limitations. The modules are breaking the mold, innovative ways of working, that's one. And then number 2 is being outward facing, building referral networks. Number 3, rapport, relationships, reflection and retention. And number 4, what does integration mean? And number 5 is the BTTC axes of grassroots and performance, with a final module where we were asked all the projects and clubs that were involved to test an idea. And we're going to give them 3 months, 6 months and see how they're getting on. Paul Richards, Big Buddies, he's absolutely amazing. And he's actually at this very moment doing an interview with Gareth Thomas on BBC Radio 5 Live, because some of their Gig Buddies are doing some sport with Blags, which is great. But he said that he came on the pilot and did all the training, and he said that BTTC is so much more than being about table tennis. This course will help you unlock and understand their approach, which can be applied beyond sports settings, since it's about embedding grassroots approaches in a way that celebrates everyone's contributions. So we had Gig Buddies, Park Run, Ramsbottom Running Club, Derby Community Table Tennis Club. So a real range of partners came on the first pilot. And we're going to do the second pilot in August. We're going to do it on Zoom this time. And then in hopefully October, we'll have it ready to go. I mean, the feedback from all the participants was brilliant. All of the people that did it, thanks so much for inviting us to be part of this. It was a rich and joyful experience. So yeah, I know that is not exactly what the presentation today was about, but I just think when people say to the table tennis club, when people ask, could you help us to work with adults with learning disabilities, or could you help us to work with refugee community? And I think rather than sort of saying, okay, yeah, let's silo off these groups and put people in boxes and see it as a sort of separate or an add-on or a bit of a tokenistic gesture that you have a disability session. I think the course that we've designed, we've got some amazing people helping with that. It's 2 retired head teachers, and I think it's been put together well. But we hope that it's a sort of distillation of all of the values that underpin everything. So it's not about this is how you do sport with adults with learning disabilities. This is how you do sport with everyone. And Sport England have been very supportive of us in doing that, and they're interested in it kind of being used for for other grassroots sports clubs to further their journeys as well. So I hope that Active Sussex and lots of people on this call will be interested in that. And that's it.
Right.
Time.
Thank you, Tip. Sorry, go on.
That's it. Thank you, Gemma.
Okay. No, that was great. And I think, like we've kind of discussed before, just giving that overview of the timeline and where you've come from. And like you said, although obviously the work you specifically did with Grace Air was supporting adults with learning disabilities, it's a bigger picture than that, and actually supporting the whole community and integration. So yeah, Liz, I didn't know if there's anything more you wanted to add. If not, we can open up the floor for questions.
No, I don't think so.
Harry Fairchild, Gemma, is 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago, came to the first session. You know, he's like godfather to my 2-year-old, and like it's like a big family, you know.
Yeah.
Good. And yeah, you've got people with Down syndrome playing table tennis, or coaching, you know, travellers, and all in the same room together. All of these people that would never otherwise meet, and you sort of, the presence of each of those groups is normalised just by being in the same club. Yeah. No,
it's fantastic. It is quite amazing what you guys have achieved.
Well, thank you to Active Sussex, because you've been very helpful since the beginning.
Thank you. So did anyone have any questions? If not, we'll move on to the final presentation. Can't see any hands up or questions, so great. Fantastic. Thank you both. That's wonderful. So Loretta, over to you.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Loretta from Defiant Sports, and I'm going to talk you through, hopefully, my bits and pieces today. So let's see if I can screen share. There we go. Right. So can everyone hear me okay? Because I don't know if I'm being heard or not. Yeah, cool. Okay, so Defiant Sports is started up in 2014, and we were basically started up for, oh, now I've lost myself. My son has cerebral palsy and autism, and he is absolutely obsessed with tennis. So he wanted to play tennis. Mainstream tennis was relatively exclusive, although they said he could come and play, and we needed to find another way to go about that. So long story short, we set up our own sessions, and we set up our own communications with local people to talk to them and see what they wanted to do. We started off in, as I said, in 2014, running some stuff within the club we were in at the time, Mainstream Club. And then in 2015, we were asked to get involved and run the local disability tennis for people with visual impairments, which we started doing and we still do today. So we do that every week. Well, we haven't done recently, but yeah, we generally do it every week. So that's where we kind of came from. Now we, in a nutshell, we offer opportunity to participate in sport for those with a barrier to participation, and it's throughout the whole sort of scope really. So from just coming along to have fun, to get out of the house and do something. We offer coaching opportunities to people with and without disabilities. We offer progression within that. We offer competition to those who want to go off and compete in sport and try and support them in doing that. And really any direction they want to go in. So the idea is that we're very relaxed and we're very open to what people want to do. What we try and do is we run our sessions by saying, what would you like to do? And that makes sure that we're actually looking at what the community want to do and what people with disabilities or challenges want to do, rather than us prescribing to them in, I think, what can traditionally be what happens, and it's, you know, it's just not acceptable. So we want them to choose what they want to do, and then we try and fill that gap for them. So that's Defiant Sports, and these are just a couple of photos to show that what we do generally in kind of pre-lockdown time. So the first picture is of our home educated children's group, which runs every Tuesday, and that's basically to supplement what would have been a PE lesson at school. So we run a physical education lesson for them, and we also do some theory work around it as well. And this is a selection of the children that come along to that. And as you can see, we don't stipulate whether they have to have their sunglasses on or, you know, jeans or whatever. It's very much about what they're comfortable in, and we work around them. A lot of the children that come to us generally tend to have some kind of learning difficulty or some other physical difficulty, just because they're aware of our reputation and they know that they can be comfortable in our presence. So we don't like to put too many demands on people to put them off. The other picture you see here is from 4 of our cheeky chappies from our visually impaired tennis group, and you'll see the guy here with the baseball cap on back to front is my son Callum, and he was actually a national VI champion for 4 years in England for tennis, both doubles and singles. And most of these players have been playing with us now for 5 years, and they just meet once a week, have a play. Some of them don't want to do anything more than come out on a Friday and hit a tennis ball, and others obviously go up to compete nationally. So again, we try and just support people in what they want to do. So moving on, during lockdown, it's obviously been tricky. I'm not particularly techie based, and everything really has gone online because we can't see people face to face. That's also proved very difficult for some of our players who aren't particularly techie either, or don't like that kind of communication, or don't accept that sport is done that way. You know, we have some very different opinions from some of our players. So it has been difficult, but we have had a lot of support. We've been doing some work with Active Sussex and the reboot sessions every week. So we've been supplying those on YouTube, where we're doing sort of fitness sessions and people can tune in and watch us, a little bit like the PE coach himself. We've been using Zoom. We've been promoting a lot more of our stuff on social media. So we've been trying to get that communication going on social media, which has been, I think that's quite tricky to do, but at least we know we're getting out there and people are saying to us they're seeing our stuff and they're sharing it. So, you know, that's good. We've looked at collaboration. So as I said, we've had work from Active Sussex asked us to do some work for them. We've had some of our individual players, their parents have come to us and said they're driving us stir crazy, can you do an online session with them? So at least we know they're getting some energy worked off. So that led us to then starting doing on one-to-one fitness sessions. And we've actually got those going really nicely now, so we can do online fitness, and we can also supply the kit for them to use at home, so they don't have to try and work out what to buy. We can actually give that to them, or they can purchase it from us. And we managed to get some funding from Active Sussex, no, not Active Sussex, Sussex Community Foundation, to do this fitness work. So again, that was something we were able to get some funding to do, to get us started off and help these people who are really struggling in lockdown. Joint projects, we've just set up a shop where we sell these products that we've now realised can work for us and work for our players, and we've been helped to do that by the Wintercom Foundation in Eastbourne, who also try and support adults with mental health issues, and they've put some funding in for that. And we've also been looking at increasing our cross promotion, so we've been supporting other organisations, people like Tic Tac Skate School, Sweet Circus, lots of other sort of local small sports groups that are maybe a little bit off centre or deal with a great cross of the population, so that we can all promote each other's work. As I said, we've started on a lot of new activities, and it's also allowed us time to focus on things that we don't usually have time to focus on when we're running around like lunatics doing all the stuff we normally do. So actually it's been quite positive in that respect, in that we've been looking at redeveloping our sessions, what ones actually are really working at the moment, what ones aren't, and how we can change that and make that happen. We've been looking at increasing training. We've now just trained our main management team in coronavirus safety, and tomorrow we're training the rest of our coaching staff and volunteers. We've looked at different ways of working, so obviously over this time we've been using things like Zoom for meetings, and actually it's proved really effective because we're not having to travel miles to go and do something. We're actually been able to use that time more effectively, just use the meeting while we're at home and then get on with work again. And we've also been able to focus on our physical space. So we've took on our own hub last November, and we've been able to use a lot of time during this lockdown to actually get that refurbished and redecorated. So we're very close to being finished now, which is fantastic. So moving on. This is some of the things. So these are some of the pictures of things that we've been doing during lockdown, which are a little bit different for us, and the way that we've had to adapt quite quickly to do that. So you'll see at the top there, here's me looking very serious with a balloon, and Callum completely ignoring me in the background, although he's meant to be my volunteer. And this is us doing our Welcoming Wednesdays, which is part of the Active Sussex thing we've been doing each week. I think, yeah, that was seated volleyball that week. So we've used all sorts of equipment. It's in my living room, which as you can see is a complete mess with my Labradoodle in the corner, and yeah, so that's been fun. We've got some items here from our shop. to show the things that we can send out for people, which we're getting feedback on already saying it's really helpful. We've got one of our little young ladies here that's been doing our one-on-one fitness sessions with us, and that, I believe, is her Spider-Man whip. Now she, yeah, it wasn't actually something we coached, she just does it apparently, but she was having a lot of issues during lockdown. She doesn't generally in normal life have any kind of challenge or condition, but she's actually been having a real lot of mental health issues during lockdown because of all the fear and everything going on around that. She's only 5 years old, so it's a big scary situation. And actually, since doing the fitness sessions with us once a week, we've been told that that really helps her, and it's something that she can really focus on as a positive and looks forward to, and it makes her smile. So that's brilliant. Down the bottom here, we've got a picture from a nursery in Lewes, and this lady was really kind to us and gave us some roll-up rubber matting. And the day we actually went and got it, both of my boys are there with her, and we actually looked like mud wrestlers by the time we came home because the floor was so muddy, and we had to roll up the matting, bring it back, and it was incredibly heavy. But it does now mean that we can put disabled sports on Eastbourne Beach, because we'll be able to roll the matting out onto the beach, and we've cut it oh, excuse me, to the size that will allow us to put a bocce court on the beach. So we're really looking forward to doing that when everyone's allowed out to play again. And this last picture here is a very dishevelled me, because I've done the Couch to 5K during lockdown. Now, I'm not a runner, I'm not a fitness freak of any sort. I believe in the benefits of sport, I just don't necessarily take it on myself very much. So I wanted to do this to talk to our players during lockdown and have that more intimate conversation to encourage them to do something themselves. And actually, again, the feedback we've had from that is really good, because I'm just a normal old mum doing stuff. So, you know, people are thinking, well, if she can do it, we can. So that has actually worked really well. And a few of our players have done the Couch to 5K as well. So brilliant stuff. Okay, so coming out of lockdown now.
Got 1 minute left, Loretta.
1 minute, okay. So some of those activities we've started, we're going to be continuing with. We've obviously opened our shop, which is going to be an ongoing thing. We've got products in there from £50p up to £25, so it includes everybody. We've broadened our thought process because we've learned about different ways of doing things and adapting our ways of working. And I think now we're looking at slowly restarting, just being careful that we're doing things safely and sensibly as we move on. And also building new relationships and questioning our efficiency. So, for instance, with the meetings, is it better for us to just have Zoom meetings rather than be physically meeting people? Things like that. So it has given us these other things to focus on. So this is my last slide. So I did it, Gemma.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is us, and these are new ideas. And down the bottom here, you will see a guy called Pip, who is about to launch the Defiant Sports Morris dancing troupe. So this is one of our new ideas. So yeah, we've got lots about to go on. There's 2 links there. Top one is to our newsletter, which is something else we've had time to develop during lockdown, and it's much funkier now. And the bottom one is just our website. So yeah, that's me done. So lots of ideas. We will be moving on to do lots of new things as well as doing all our old stuff as well. So it's going to be an interesting time. But yeah, hopefully.
Right, thank you, Loretta. That was fantastic. And again, like I said, we'll share the link so that people can obviously go through to your e-news and your website as well, should people want to have a look. So does anyone have any questions before I move on to Nicola to just give a quick update on the Inclusive Hub tool? No hands up, nothing in the conversation box. So thank you, Loretta, that was really interesting. And again, just a different, obviously, approach and also looking at that kind of wider context of what you've been doing in lockdown and thinking about the things you can do to support the wider community. So it's really fantastic, thank you. So Nicola.
Hello.
Are you there? Great, do you need to share your screen?
Yes, actually, I do have.
Great. Loretta, yeah, that's great.
Everyone got it?
Yeah, brilliant. Got it.
So, yeah, hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Nicola. I work for Activity Alliance as one of the engagement advisors, so I cover the East and South East region. I'm kind of here today to talk about one of the tools and resources that we have available for anyone to use, and it's called our Inclusion Club Hub. Make sure that the web link is sent out in the notes from the meeting so that you can all have a look at it. But I've gone through the very first step so I can show you kind of how it looks when you go through it. But yeah, it's a very simple sign up, just kind of name, email address, what club you're from. But it's here purely to try and help you guys to, and the wider kind of anyone that's working within sport really, to include more disabled people in activities. The tool is a self-audit tool, so it's not for us to then kind of make sure that we keep tabs on you and see what you're doing and that kind of thing. It is purely there as a self-audit tool for you to see how inclusive your club is and to get some tips and ideas of how to make it more inclusive, or to kind of share best practice that we've gathered as well. So I'll just quickly show you this. This is the main page when you kind of click through the first bit. So it has the first section is about activities, and then you answer a couple of questions and click yes or no, according to whether you do it or not. You've then got people, then management, promotion, and then finally volunteering, which we know is very important for disabled people. As Andy mentioned earlier on, it's a great way to get disabled people into clubs, make them more familiar and feel confident in a club before actually maybe taking part. So I've ticked no for all of these questions. My theoretical club is not very inclusive at the moment. Then you click on the finish section, and what it does is it brings up this whole host of kind of ideas about what you can do, some tips from our website, some tips from partners' websites, and then kind of case studies, best practice examples, and things that you can develop into you can put into your club development plan, or if you don't have somewhere suitable for it to go, at the end of this, if I keep scrolling, it does give you an option to kind of create your own action plan off the back of this, so a completely set action plan. But there is a couple of things that I should mention on this as well. We did make this a little while ago, so some of the names are outdated. For example, we're still called the English Federation of Disability Sport, which is what we used to be called. We're no longer called that. And it says County Sports Partnership in it as well, when they mean active partnership, just some of the terminology's changed. We are in the process of kind of amending and improving it in places, so hopefully that will change soonish. So yeah, if you do use it and there's anything you think actually, we've got a really great example for that it could be used as a case study in this, and we want to make sure that people know what we're doing, please let us know. We're more than happy to put more case studies, more good practice examples in. And yeah, what we're aiming to do is just to make sure that all of your members feel valued and receive equal opportunities that they should do. So yeah, that's the Inclusion Club Hub in a couple of minutes. Lots and lots of different things on here that could be useful for people. The other thing that I'm really quickly going to mention, and hopefully will kind of link onto our next topic for the meeting anyway, and it's only going to be a really quick mention, is our reopening activity guidance that we've recently brought out as well. I think we're all aware that actually the inequality gap is getting bigger at the moment thanks to the pandemic that we're in, and that disabled people may not be being thought about in the first instance as they should be, and thought about with everyone else. So we've created this guide to try and help people to reopen activity in the most inclusive way possible. If you haven't seen this already, please have a look, share it with your venues that you use, any leisure facilities that you might use as well. It's really, really important to try and get this out there as much as we can. So yeah, Gemma, if we can share that in the notes as well, that'd be really, really helpful. Yeah. I think that is everything for me.
Brilliant, thank you, Nicola. No, that's great. I think I shared that document in the last Disability Network update, so hopefully people have received that, but I will send it out with the webinar as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
Did anyone have any specific questions about the hub tool before we move on? No? Great. So I am conscious we are getting to 2 o'clock, and obviously we were going to try and aim for the webinar to be an hour, but hopefully if you can stay on for a little bit longer, that'd be great. If you have to go, then no worries, and hopefully the examples that we've had will give you some food for thought and some ideas and maybe some kind of new connections. And like I said, I will send out all the contact details should you wish to contact any of the presenters. So it was really just to give the network and those that obviously could attend this webinar an opportunity to discuss any thoughts around recommencement planning. I don't, you know, really, and what we've tried to do with these webinars is we've tried to give it as an opportunity for network members to keep connected, hear about obviously things that are going on and some, you know, look at some specific topics. But we do want this to be an opportunity for you to share your ideas and, you know, ask questions of other members and get examples. So if if anyone does have any questions around that, then, you know, please feel free to ask them now, and, you know, do turn on your video and microphone to do so. Shall I kick off? So obviously we don't deliver. We're a strategic organisation, but we're obviously trying to ensure that we're thinking about how we support partners moving forward, moving out of lockdown. And I think one of the things is around those resources, sharing those best practice case studies, and hopefully through our newsletters and all the information on our website will really help. In terms of obviously the events we run, we have obviously had to cancel all the school games and PYG, our AGM and conference, which will be held in September, will be online. So again, hopefully that will be another opportunity for network members to come together in the bigger kind of network space. And also we're just kind of looking at what we're going to do around the Sussex Sports Awards. So we're just kind of in that planning stage of making sure that we're still connecting with our partners as best we can. But we would really love to hear from you guys as well with any support that you need, or if there's any specific challenges that you're facing or you feel you're going to face in terms of kind of the next 6 months, really. So that's it from me. Anyone else? Cool. I'm just checking the chat. There's a few things that have come up on chat. A few people have got to go. Yeah, picked up lots. Can we make all the resources newsletters available after session? Yes, of course. Yeah, I'll send out all the links. That's fine. Someone said I've picked up lots of things that I'd like to take back to the 2 clubs I belong to and see what we can do to improve our inclusivity. Thank you. A few people have got to go. Okay, so I think, yeah, if no one's kind of wants to raise anything, then that's absolutely fine. Like I said, I know we've kind of run over slightly. So we are going to hopefully look at a couple more webinars, and maybe one looking at health and social care priorities, and maybe another one just dedicated to networking and discussion. So maybe looking at this conversation a little bit more, but actually opening it up to the floor to give people the opportunity to talk to one another. So unless anyone else has got any more questions, I would just like to say thank you once again for attending the webinar today. And if you've heard about this some other way and you're not signed up, please make sure you're signed up to our newsletter so that you receive all the latest information. And if you are doing anything on your social media channels, if you copy in the hashtag Stay Active Sussex and hashtag join the movement, we'll pick that up and we'll retweet it and repost it for you. So without further ado, thank you once again, and I will hopefully see you next month. Bye.